Greetings, friend, and welcome to the Between the Covers podcast, where we are working every day to remove the self-limiting beliefs that are preventing us from becoming the heroes of our own stories. I am Marcus Spar, and today I wanted to talk about a subject that I've been learning more about recently, especially concerning the mental health stuff that my partner Libby and I have been working through over the last year plus. And it seems more and more that it's becoming more widely known in popular culture today, and that is masking. I know that for a lot of people, masking is something that is attributed to those who have some kind of neurodivergence, like autism or maybe ADHD. And I'm also reminded of what my therapist expressed months ago now, that people who experience trauma become neurodivergent. So we could even say that it's for individuals who don't have autism or ADHD. In fact, it's something that shows up more and more outside of those realms. I think they're just more socially accepted when we're talking about individuals on the autism spectrum and those who have ADHD or ADD. But I can look at my own life and see ways that I masked as well. To start things off, let's just come up with a definition of what masking is. I'm getting this from the website Very Well Mind, and they say that masking refers to when an individual hides or suppresses symptoms, behaviors, or difficulties that they are experiencing. For some people, this is something that is a very conscious effort to try and hide any kind of mental health struggles that they're having. And yet, there's also a dynamic of this where it's a very unconscious thing that many of us don't even realize is taking place. And this develops when oftentimes we're young and there are certain aspects of our personality that are not accepted, and maybe we're even punished for them. And so we have to start hiding this. We have to start hiding these things that are not socially acceptable from our peers, from our families, from our community, from society in general. And the purpose of masking is it just helps us to blend in with all of those around us. One could even say it's an effort for us to be seen as normal. And I would just refer you back to the podcast I released on what is normal. What we are told, though, is there are certain things about us that are not normal, they're not good, and so we hide them. And I'm speculating on this right now. The way that I envision it is the term masking came about because you effectively have to wear or put on a mask in order to be accepted by your peers, your family, whoever it is that is saying that there are these unsightly or unwanted qualities about who you are. In fact, Very Well Mind has this great example of what masking can be attributed to, and that was in the early 1900s, maybe even before then. There was a belief that it was wrong or bad if someone were to write with their left hand, because people who are left-handed are a minority compared to those who are right-handed, like myself. So these children in schools, they were literally punished for using their dominant hand, their left hand, for writing. And so they were then forced to learn how to write right-handed. And that's something that can be equated to masking. We are punished for something that is natural about us, or maybe even something that we are struggling with in the terms of mental health. If it is something like neurodivergency, if it is something like ADHD or ADD, if it is something like depression or anxiety, We hide that this is something that we are experiencing because in the past we have been told that this is not a good thing, you can't show it, don't even let people know you're struggling with it. And so you put on a mask that just presents this, I don't know, a happy smile and hey, everything's going great and I have no problems whatsoever, all the while you're just feeling this turmoil inside of you that is telling you, I have these things that really need to be addressed and I don't have a safe outlet for them to be addressed. There are a couple of different ways that people mask. They are described as social masking, behavioral masking, and compensation. Let's see if I can do any justice to explaining these. The social masking is when you try and do things that make it so that you don't stand out in a social environment. And my friend Mike McCarg, he was diagnosed with autism as an adult. And one of the reasons why it took that long for anyone to even notice that he had some kind of neurodivergency is because of how well he masked. One of the things that is a very common trait with individuals with autism is they struggle to maintain eye contact in a conversation. And this is even something I recognize in myself. I will be in a conversation with someone and I will notice when my eyes are going over here and then over there. And it's like I'm trying to look everywhere except for in the eyes of the person I'm having a conversation with. Which is one of the things that makes me wonder if I might have some kind of neurodivergence. Or if that's just my own insecurities coming out. Yet, in American society, and possibly even just the world over, there is a lot of value in maintaining eye contact while you're having a conversation. And I remember hearing stories of my friend Mike where he would be having a conversation with someone, and as a child, he was likely punished for not making eye contact while an adult or authority figure was talking to him. So he learned to mask that. And what he described is he would be looking in the eyes of the person he's having a conversation with, and he would just be saying, maintain eye contact, maintain eye contact, maintain eye contact. Because he was having to tell himself, don't do what you naturally want to do because socially people don't accept it. Another way that people can socially mask is by imitating body language from other people that they're around in an effort for them to not stand out. And I can just imagine, actually I can't even imagine how exhausting that has to be, where you have this innate belief that there is something that is so inherently wrong with you that you can't show it. So you are exerting so much conscious effort and energy in preventing other people from seeing these things about you. That is just, I don't ever want to have to go through that. And I likely have, and I might not even be aware of it. And I don't want others to have to go around it with me. I really just want people to be themselves in front of me and not experience that judgment or that criticism or condemnation. The second one that's mentioned here in Very Well Mind is behavioral masking. I almost said behavioral stimming. It's behavioral masking, and what this form of masking does is it's supposed to help block any kind of fidgeting or stimming behavior. And I notice right now, I'm not even having a conversation with someone as I record this, and I just have my thumbs constantly like twiddling with each other while I'm sitting here in front of my computer, in front of this camera and this microphone, and I am still fidgeting. I also have this really bad habit of like rocking back and forth in my chair. Anyone who has watched any of these podcasts on my YouTube channel will probably notice that there's a lot of rocking that can happen as I am talking about this stuff. Because that's a way that I kind of get some of this nervous energy out of my body. And it's fidgeting. Some might even say that it's stimming. And there is this masking to cover this behavior so that people don't see you standing out with this kind of body language or this kind of behavior. The last one that this website mentions is compensation. And what they say here with compensation is that individuals that mask in this way spend more time and energy on certain tasks in order to hide that it's something that they are actually struggling with. They specifically point out that individuals with ADHD tend to use this form of masking. And I've worked with some clients that have struggled with ADHD, and there's a lot of these people where they do struggle to accomplish some of these tasks that a lot of other people just seem to do innately. And why? Because their brain is going to other places, reminding them of these other things that they need to do. And so in order to hide this, a lot of these people turn to this masking that comes out as them compensating for this lack or this deficiency, which I hate using those terms, and yet to a certain degree they feel like they fit. I just don't like how negative they are, because that's also showing that these people, they're lacking something that they should have. And no, that's just how they are. But they use compensating as a method to hide that this is something that they are struggling with. Whether it's something like keeping up with the laundry or the dishes or cooking or whatever it happens to be. Probably one of the saddest things that I just read as I was looking up more information on masking is one of the reasons why people will mask is not just because they want to fit in with people around them, but they choose to mask because of backlash for these behaviors. I had said it earlier about them being punished for it, and I don't know what it is about the word backlash. That just really struck me more than hearing the word being punished. And a lot of this stems from individuals being afraid to admit that they have some kind of mental struggle or some kind of mental health issue that needs to be addressed, that they need some support with, but they're not being accepted for that. Or, even worse than that, individuals are going to be honest about what they're struggling with and run into discrimination or even ableism because of admitting that this is a struggle. I have a friend that she released this book, and Libby and I, we read this book. Her name is Stephanie Tate, and she shares about how she had undiagnosed Lyme disease for years before they finally figured out what was going on. And by the time they noticed it, it became debilitating. On top of that, she shares about a lot of the ableism that she has run into, because why do people hate to admit that they're struggling with something like this? whether we're talking Lyme disease, whether we're talking autism or anxiety or depression, is because for a lot of these, we're talking about an invisible disease. Not even disease, I'm not going to call it that. We're talking about an invisible struggle that someone is dealing with because you can't visibly see what's going on. You have someone like my friend Stephanie, who, for all intents and purposes, she looks like a perfectly normal person. And yet she has something that is causing a lot of fatigue and pain, and at points she can't even walk. And yet someone would look at her and be like, well, what's wrong with her? No, she looks fine and healthy. Because these other people don't know. My partner Libby with her anxiety and her depression. Me with my own depression back when I was in high school, and I've even had some episodes recently. Most people don't see those because there's no physical symptoms like rashes or boils or something that you can visibly see on the body. And so there is often discrimination that takes place because of ableism. This is something that I've shared with many clients in the past, that when we're talking about masking, if I use the analogy of you wearing a mask, one of the things with my own struggles with pornography and unwanted sexual behavior, I often felt like I had to hide this from others. And so if I did something that someone praised me for, or someone complimented me for X, Y, and Z, or I had this accolade or whatever it was, someone would affirm me, someone would say something nice to me, and it would just come here and it would stop at my mask. It would stop here. It would not go through to get to the true me. And I found myself over and over with the sentiment of, if you only knew the truth, if you only knew what I had just done hours ago, or earlier this week, days ago, whatever it is, if you only knew. And so I'd put on this mask that said everything was great. I wasn't struggling with some terrible feelings and guilt and shame within my very being. Nope, everything's fine. Because I can't let you know about this thing that I'm struggling with. Can't let you know about depression. I can't let you know about anxiety. I can't let you know that I'm autistic or that I have ADHD. Whatever it happens to be, we hide it. And it is an exhausting endeavor to pretend that you're someone that you're not, or to pretend that you have something that you don't. To pretend that you don't have something that you do, if I can get my words out properly here. It is exhausting, which is why, especially for individuals with autism, they specifically have named autistic burnout. And that is one of the things that potentially led to the mental health crisis that Libby and I had in 2023. Was she literally was burnt out from having to be someone that she was not comfortable being. And one of the things with masking is it hinders these people from getting the help that they could really benefit from, because they're afraid to bring it up, because they're so good at pretending like everything is fine, and then maybe they go into the darkness of their bedroom and just break down and cry, or maybe they start having thoughts of ending their existence. This is what happens when we mask. This is just a surface level look at what goes on with masking. And if this is something that you're familiar with, then I just want to encourage you to find someone that you can be yourself with. Find someone who can help you with whatever it is that you're masking. And I'm not saying that what needs to be helped is something that is innately wrong, but a lot of these people struggle with not accepting these parts of themselves. And that could be you. I really struggled to accept depression within me, the emotions that I was running away from. I needed help in order to begin to process and take that mask off and allow myself to be me. And this is something that I really hope that you have as well. I hope that you can find someone who can help you to take that mask off, who accepts you for who you are, and can help you accept these things about yourself that others have said are bad or wrong or maybe even sinful if you're of a religious or spiritual upbringing. And if that's the case, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that these things that are just innately a part of who you are were not accepted. And I really hope that you can find the healing and acceptance for who you are and the support to be who you are, just as you are, not having to get up and put a mask on in order to be accepted by your peers or your family or your co-workers, your employer, whatever it happens to be. If there's nothing else that you take from this podcast, I want you to know that I'm here for you. I accept you just as you are. There is no judgment, no condemnation. You will even notice that in this episode, I said some things that I probably should just cut out. And yet, I want this to be real. I am still learning. I am still learning how to talk about this appropriately. And so I'm going to leave all of this in, referring to a lot of these as some kind of disease. Yeah, I wish I didn't say that earlier, because I do not see you as a diseased individual. I see you as a lovely, wonderful person who is deserving of love, compassion, empathy, and the support that you need in order to live your best life and be the hero of your story. And until next time, live strong for today. Thanks so much for watching or listening to this podcast. If you like what you're hearing, then give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads. If you are interested in working with me, then take a look in the description where you can find my website or a link just to schedule a free 50-minute one-on-one call with me. Looking forward to talking with you soon.